Hey, it's Katie, and welcome back to my booktube channel. Today we will be doing If You Liked This Book, Try This Book. And this is my first attempt at this kind of recommendation video, but I've seen them all over booktube and I love watching them, so I figured it was time for me to give it a try, and hopefully you guys find some books you'd like to add to your TBR. So let's just jump into it. For round one, we have If You Liked Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, you should try Prince Charming and Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. And I'll tell you a little bit about all of these books first. For Red, White, and Royal Blue, this is a male-male romance between the Prince of England and the son of the President of the United States, and at first they really dislike each other and there's kind of like a public altercation argument type thing, and so the relations between the US and Britain are not the best, and so all of the publicists force the two of them to pretend to be best friends and go to all of these events together even though they dislike each other. And so it's really interesting to see them get to know each other and kind of transfer from enemies to lovers. And then on the other hand, we have Prince Charming, which follows a girl whose sister just got engaged to the Prince of Scotland, and she's forced to travel to Scotland and kind of tone down her personality and her bright red hair, and she's paired up with this guy who's supposed to help her tone all of that down, and meanwhile another prince is trying to drag her into trouble, and that's just a very adorable story. So that's another enemies to lovers. And then Her Royal Highness follows a girl from Texas who ends up going to Scotland for this fancy school, and her roommate ends up being the literal princess of Scotland, and they get off on the wrong foot and they really dislike each other as well, but they grow to kind of form a bond, and it's another enemies to lovers. So as you could tell, all of these stories involve royalty. They involve people from the US and from a different country, so there's a lot of culture shock and wanderlust and all of those amazing things that make you feel like you're traveling through the world. And there's LGBTQ plus romances. Red, White, and Royal Blue has a male-male romance. Her Royal Highness is a female-female romance. So that's amazing, and all of the relationships in these three books are so sweet and so fun to read about. And another unique element that goes in all of these books is that they really focus on how the media portrays certain things and how it really twists people's words and actions and the way that people have to cope, especially people in the spotlight. So I really enjoyed that because some of these books include little excerpts from tabloids. Some of them include like tweets and articles and text messages between people, and it's just a really fun element that's added to these stories. For round two, we have If You Liked Love and Gelato and Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welch, you should try Even If the Sky Falls by Mia Garcia. And Love and Gelato is about a girl whose mother just passed away, and her mother's last dying wish was for her to go spend time with her father in Italy. And when she gets there, somebody gives her a journal that used to belong to her mother, and this journal is filled with all of her mom's adventures in Italy. And so our main character reads the journal and goes and does all of the things that her mother talks about and has all of these amazing adventures of her own. And Love and Luck is about a girl who goes to Ireland with her family for her aunt's wedding, and she's trying to escape some things that happened back home and trying to cope with her emotions, and she ends up finding this guidebook, and it's a guide to kind of getting over her heartbreak while in Ireland. And so she goes on this adventure along with her brother and her brother's new Irish friend, and they hit all of the stops that the book talks about, and it's just another fun adventure in an international country that I've never been to. And Even If the Sky Falls is about a girl who is trying to escape her past at home, so she goes on this mission trip and ends up feeling more trapped than ever, so she runs away from the mission trip and joins the Mardi Gras celebrations in New Orleans. And when she's there, she bumps into this guy, and he's also trying to escape his past. So they both decide to use fake names and to not talk about their real lives, but to experience all New Orleans has to offer for the next 24 hours together. So the main thing that comes to mind when I think about all three of these books is wanderlust. I want to travel to all of these places so bad. Italy, Ireland, and New Orleans have been on my list of places to go see for as long as I can remember, and all of these books give you all of these fun things to go do, and some of them are touristy things, but they also all incorporate things that tourists don't know about and only locals know about. So that was really fun to kind of feel like you're getting a little sneak peek into daily lives and daily things that locals might do, and I thought that was really amazing. And the vibe of all of these books is just very fun and charming and heartwarming, and they all have very meaningful elements to them. So even though you have all these fun adventures and some fun banter between characters, it also is very impactful, and all of these books just leave me feeling so happy and warm inside. Round 3, we have If You Liked Children of Blood and Bone and Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi, you should try Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. And you've probably heard about all of these books because I feel like they're all very popular fantasies, but just in case you haven't, they both involve very cool magic systems. Like, it's very unique, and as much as I would like to say that I know all about them, I definitely still have a lot to learn. And in both of these worlds, there is such intense, like, rich history, and I feel like it's so fun because you could reread these books so many times and still pick up new details every time, because Children of Blood and Bone has a lot of Nigerian culture and influences in the history of the book, and then with Legendborn, it has a lot of history about King Arthur because it is a King Arthur retelling, so you get to learn a lot about that and how that society kind of works in this world, and it's just such rich history, and that's what really stood out to me about both of these books. And then in both of these books, there are definitely hate to love romance. Like, it's not just enemies to lovers, they full on hate each other. So in Children of Blood and Bone and Children of Virtue and Vengeance, there are technically like 2 love interests, but no matter which one you ship Zaylee with, it's definitely still hate to love either way. But if you focus on Enon, who I think is the main love interest, they are on opposite sides of basically this war, and they can kind of see into each other's minds, sort of. I'm not going to go into too much depth with that because I don't know how much of this is spoilers. It's been a while since I read it, but they really dislike each other at first, and there's like no common ground, but they end up starting to care for each other. And then with Legendborn, it's about this girl who ends up infiltrating this secret society on campus, and one of the main people in the society is a sorcerer, and he wants absolutely nothing to do with her. Like, he is so mean to her and hates her, like, instantly, and so they definitely do not get along at first, but as time goes on, they find themselves kind of helping each other heal from their past trauma and grief, and so that's another hate to love, and they're both like very beautiful stories, especially Legendborn. Like, that relationship is very beautiful to me to experience, so I definitely feel like they share those similarities. For round 4, we have If You Liked Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, you should try A Taste for Love by Jennifer Yen. And these are both very food-centric romances. So in Tweet Cute, it is about a Twitter war between a small deli and a big food chain, and it's all about this grilled cheese recipe that the deli thinks the food chain stole from them. And then with A Taste for Love, it's about this baking competition that our main character's mom put together, except all of the contestants are eligible guys that she wants her daughter to choose to date. And so there's a lot of baking in that, just like with Tweet Cute. There's obviously the food businesses, and also our main character likes to bake as well. So there's a lot of food in both of these books. Both of these books also deal a lot with family expectations that the parents have for their children. So in Tweet Cute, Jack is kind of expected to take over the family deli and to run that business, even if that's not really what he wants. That's kind of what's been expected of him his whole life. And then with Pepper in Tweet Cute, she's expected to run the big food chain's Twitter account and to be involved in all of these things, even though all she wants is to bake and run her own blog. Her mom still expects her to do all of those things on top of her schoolwork. And so that deals a lot with those issues and what their families expect of them. And then with A Taste for Love, obviously the whole competition is about what her mother expects of her and who her mother expects her to be with long term. And it deals a lot with those expectations, and it also takes place like following an Asian American family. So it deals with a lot of those cultural expectations as well. And then the romances in both of these books have a ton of adorable banter. I love it. There's like sarcasm and some witty humor that's so fun to read, but they're also still very nice to each other. Like they're never super mean to each other, which is nice to read in romances and contemporaries. And also it's more of a dislike to love. So that's like on the other end of the spectrum of enemies to lovers from what we talked about in the last round. But they don't really get along, and there is still some conflict between the characters in both of these books, but it's never anything too crazy. They're still very nice to each other, and they do develop feelings for each other. So it's definitely a dislike to love. Round 5 focuses on 2 of my favorite romances that I've read so far this year, and that is If You Liked Beach Read by Emily Henry, You Should Try Simmer Down by Sarah Smith. Both of these books have something in common, that the main character and the love interest have the same career. So in Beach Read, they are both writers. They write different genres, but they are both still authors. And then in Simmer Down, they both run different food trucks. And so I thought that was really cool because I haven't read a lot of stories where the main characters have the same jobs. So I love that both of these books have that. And then they both also have a competition of some kind. So with Beach Read, it's not officially a competition, but they're both struggling to write their next book, and so they decide to switch topics and to kind of help each other experience what the other person does in the writing process. So our main guy ends up showing her how he does his research for his books, which are a little bit darker, and then our main girl ends up taking him along with her to all of the romance-worthy spots that she goes to write her romance novels. So that's really fun, and they decide whoever writes their opposite genre first and is able to sell the book wins, and the loser has to, I don't know, do something for the dedication page or something like that, something book related, but that's super fun. And then with Simmer Down, both of the food trucks are vying for the same spot, and that's how the feud started between the two characters. And so there is this food festival, and they decide whoever wins the food festival gets to keep the coveted spot. All of our main characters in both of these books have past issues that they're trying to work through, and so they are able to help each other heal and process their emotions. And I really liked that because even though there is a lot of banter and all of that, and there are steamier parts of both of these books that kind of caught me off guard because I wasn't really expecting them, even though it has all of that, it also has much deeper, raw emotions, and that was really, really nice to see that it wasn't just some banter and arguments or some sex scenes or anything like that. There were also some genuine emotions and feelings that they had toward each other, and they were just both very beautiful relationships. And then round 6 is our last round, and this focuses on If You Liked These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, You Should Try Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. First of all, both of these books have very unique concepts and historical fiction elements that I love. So we have These Violent Delights, which is a Romeo and Juliet retelling in 1920 Shanghai, and it has monsters. And then Kingdom of the Wicked follows Amelia and Vittoria, who are twin witches, and they're hiding in plain sight among humans. But one day Vittoria doesn't show up for dinner, so Amelia goes out to look for her and finds her mutilated body. And Amelia ends up going on this path of vengeance and tries to figure out who murdered her sister and what happened. And along her path for vengeance, she ends up bumping into Wrath, who is one of the wicked princes of hell that she's always been warned about throughout her childhood. And he claims to be on her side, but she's not sure if she can trust him. And that is just really cool because there are 7 princes of hell, and they're based on all of the 7 deadly sins, and that is just so cool. You get to meet Wrath, obviously, he's one of the main characters, and then you also get to meet like envy, pride, lust. There's so many, and I just think that's such a cool concept. Like, I read that book in January, and the concept still amazes me. So both of these books also have like the epitome of enemies to lovers. They both have hate to love and forbidden romances. So with These Violent Delights, since it is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, they are a forbidden romance. And I forgot to tell you guys earlier that this book also involves the mafia, and both of our main characters are the heirs to their respective mafias, and so obviously they are not supposed to be together, and they used to really love each other, but something happened in the past to make them both hate each other, and so now they really don't like each other, they can't stand each other, and so those are some really cool elements with their romance. And then with Kingdom of the Wicked, like I said, Amelia is a witch and Wrath is one of the princes of hell, and she has been warned against him and any of the wicked princes of hell her entire life. So she's not supposed to trust him. Her family, especially her grandmother, would freak out if she knew that she even was talking to him. So obviously a forbidden romance, and they hate each other right away. Also, both of these books have very dark vibes to them, and they both involve demons and monsters, so I just really enjoyed them. They really transport you to this darker, really rich place, and they are just both very intriguing and very good. Those are all of my recommendations. Hopefully you guys found some new books to add to your TBR. I really enjoyed doing this kind of video, so if you'd like to see another one like this, please comment below. But please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and if you do subscribe, click the notification bell so you know when I upload next. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in my next video.